Jon Jones and Greg Jackson, because, for the stories you were talking about with Greg Jackson on mental toughness, like some of the stuff is psychotic. Like when you were saying on Joe Rogan how you carry your guy in and you have to be willing to die, for your buddies and to go through this. When Jon came through, you're the older brother to him, right? You were playing because you were the guy that ran the camp and you made the camp popular. Everybody knew you were that name, right? And in this world, camps are very important, right? A great coach gets a great player. That player can also make the coach very famous. In sports, college, Tim Duncan made Pop pretty famous. Michael made Phil very famous. Kobe didn't really make Phil famous because Phil was already famous, but Michael made Phil famous, right? How was Jon's energy when he came in? Because I've heard what you've said about him before. And, the interview you guys did together with, it wasn't Joe, it was somebody else interviewing the two of you guys before the fight. You know who I'm talking about. And then I've seen Daniel Cormier and him talk, and what Daniel says about Jon, where he says he'll never change, you don't make mistakes over and over and over again, et cetera, et cetera. You hear that whole conversation with Joe was, I think, hosting that interview. Who was Jon when he first walked into the camp? Who was that guy?
He was an eager student. Jon just wanted to learn. Very big imagination. He would after training, he'd be one of those guys who would just sit and just, play around and kind of just, try out different moves, like just, like these different, conceptual moves, things that you may never pull off, but he would do those things over and over again, things that people wouldn't expect. Very big imagination, very eager to be the guy. I remember we went out one time and he's like, oh man, what is it like to have, people come up to you and want to take pictures? And I'm like, one day you'll find out, it's
so super ambitious,
very ambitious,
curious. Was he humble?
Yeah, he was humble. He was humble,
confident,
very confident.
So he had swagger even coming in.
Oh yeah, he wanted to be the guy, and he knew one day he would be the guy.
How old was he when you first met him?
Maybe 21.
Maybe 21?
Yeah, maybe 21.
And so when you guys were sparring, when you're practicing, did you say, this guy's different? Like, did you immediately feel that this guy's different than everybody else?
Yeah. I remember what we're doing. We're doing wrestling. We were doing wrestling. And I used to take everybody down, and I went with him for the first time. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. And he took me down, and I was like,
first time,
and I was like, oh man.
He's been wrestling his brothers his whole life.
Yeah, two NFL players, two big guys, and he's the skinniest in the family. So he was 6'4", 170 in junior year.
Yeah, he's got a freaky dimension that kind of adds to, his athleticism and what he's able to do in the octagon.
Was he a troublemaker before, or did he pick up the habits after all the attention came?
I would say that, Jon is, I wouldn't say a troublemaker. I would just say that he would, what gets Jon in trouble is because every four weeks before his fight, he likes to blow off a little bit of steam, and it's kind of like his ritual that he does where, he wants to, it's like a little celebration to himself, and it's kind of like his thing where, he'll go and he'll party like 4 weeks before he fights, and then he'll finish the rest of his camp, But when he goes hard. You know what I'm saying? He goes hard in the paint.
Yeah, but blow off a little too literally, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little too literally.
But was that what I'm trying to find out is, like, sometimes I interviewed Billy Beane. We had him at the event. Billy Beane, I don't know if you've seen the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. The baseball movie, if you've seen it. And I said, Billy, you're a recruiter. When you're recruiting guys, what are you looking for? He says, obviously talent, okay? Physical, like what you look like physically, you take care of yourself. And then he said work ethic, and then he said upbringing. And upbringing is, if we don't have that, that's tough, because eventually this guy's going to mess up his career. That's what he would say. So they would look at a lot of stars. Like for himself, he was coming up. They thought he's going to be a big star and, MLB All-Star play. Very quickly, they realized you're good for ML, you're good for AAA, you're good for college, but you're not going to make it in the. He says, I knew very quickly I don't belong in this league. Jon knew he belonged in the league, but I wonder, like, sometimes you're hanging out, and I remember being in the Army one weekend, these guys are like, we're going to go and party at this place. I just got this gut feeling. I'm like, dude, I'm just not going to go with these guys. I'm just not getting a good feeling about these guys going where they're going. So I didn't go that weekend. Everybody got arrested. Everybody went to jail. Everybody was dishonorably discharged that one weekend. So is it the DNA in him? Is it he learned it from somebody? Is it the friends? Is it the coach? Where do you put that?
It's in him.
Okay,
it's in him.
got it.
He's got that wild side to him. You know, there's a part. See, the same things that make you great in one area will make you not so great in the other area. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, you know, he takes risk in a cage and he lives like that. You know, he takes risk in his life too. You know, and it's part of who he is. You know, I think there's some things that he needs to sort out within himself, you know, and I feel that he's doing those things, but, you know, being able to do those things and being able to confront a very ugly side of yourself is confronting it, you know what I'm saying, and being open and honest about it to the point where, you know, you're willing to deal with it. And I feel like he still needs to make strides in that area, you know, being accountable for the things that actually, you know, keep bringing him back to that place. And I feel like as he grows even more, you know, because he's not the same kid he was when he's making those mistakes. He's still making those mistakes because he wasn't accountable for it before.
He's 34 now. I mean,
yeah,
it's a different ballgame.
It's a different ballgame. And here's the sad thing, and here's what I do not want for him. I do not want him to still be making those mistakes once there's no value in him anymore. Once people don't, you know, can't get another penny out of him anymore. Because at that point, then you go down a whole different
spiral,
different spiral, you know, and that's what I don't hope for. I hope that he figures it out, because there's something in him that's causing him to keep going back to that place, and he is the only person that can sort that out.
Does he have guys like you in his ears? Like, you sound like a lot different relationship today than the way you guys were speaking 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You sound, and the way you're speaking about him. So have you guys mended? Have you guys spoken? Have you guys hung out? Have you guys broken bread? Have you guys gone to dinner? Is there that relationship again?
We don't have that relationship, but you know, whenever I see him, I speak to him and say what's up to him, and, you know, give him some well wishes and things like that. You know, I have nothing but love for the guy. You know, there's a couple times I had some dreams about him. I'm like, oh man, I got to check on Jon. So I'll call his manager Malky and be like, hey, is Jon okay? I just had this crazy dream that, you know, this happened to him. You know, check on him, make sure that he's good. You know, because, you know, I care about the kid. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want him to. I want him to be the guy that he can be. I want him to be that guy.
You ever like, even coming up, you know, in the world of business, I've been around a lot of guys that were 10 times better than me in insurance, right? But you'd sit there and you're talking. I'd watch, like, we're in a room, say somebody that's doing very well for themselves, they're giving counsel to us, right? I'd watch the other guys that I was in the same camp with. So imagine like an Ultimate Fighter or whatever, but we're in an Ultimate Fighter, but for insurance and business, right? And one of the guys in the room just looked at everybody like with a smirk on his face, like, dude, I'm 10 times better than all you guys. You guys have no clue what you're talking about. I know what you could never give this person counsel. And God forbid if you did, the level of sensitivity to the roof, oh my gosh, you like get uncomfortable. Like, you know what I'm talking about. There's no way a guy gets that good without having taken coaching from somebody. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way you're born with those abilities. So he must have the ability to take the coaching in areas that he wants to. But the other side where, you know, Cormier says he'll never change. Do you agree with Cormier that he'll never change certain things?
I don't agree with that. You know, I think that people can change all the time. And I feel like it just takes a right situation to make that change happen. You know, I'm not the person who I was 10 years ago in so many different aspects. Not even 5 years ago. You know, I've changed in so many different ways, and that change happened within me. But it took me realizing it. You know, no one could make me change. It was something that I needed to see for myself to have that change happen. And you never know what happens in life. You know, life can pull you in a different, you know, direction, and, you know, have you see something that you didn't see before, and then you change as a person.
Yeah, listen, this is coming from a fan. I mean, you know, from a fan perspective, you want to see this guy figured out, because the guy is, he's got Michael in him, but he's got Rodman in him. It's a very weird dynamic.
Darryl Strawberry in him too, you know.
Yeah, he's got Darryl Strawberry and maybe a little Dwight Gooden. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.